Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first Handicap of 2022. We got a bumper show lined up for you. I must admit, when I started the week, I didn't think we had that much rugby to talk about. I thought a few Champions Cup matches. But the Currie Cup, well, it snuck up on us. We'll talk a bit about that now. Not the most well-promoted event in the world, I must tell you. And then, of course, we've got Heineken Champions Cup. I haven't even counted the games, but I've just written out the sort of betting, and I couldn't believe how many matches there are, but we'll get into that. But first of all, to all the regular viewers of the show and those who are new to the show, thanks very much for all the support. And I hope you have a great 2022 and get to make some money with us. And the same applies to my guests as well. So I'm going to start right at the top of my screen there with none other than Hendrik Swart, the unders taker. And if you're not a sports bettor or rugby bettor and you follow this man, you'll soon know what he means by unders taker. Hendrik, great to have you back on the show.
Yeah, Brent, thanks. Looking forward to this year betting-wise. Had a great week holiday. Went to the coast a bit, went to J-Bay, and I'm looking forward to all the rugby. Currie Cup starting this weekend, one of my favorite tournaments normally. It's a bit watered down these days, the last few years. But it's the kind of tournament where there's lots of value. I think it's one of the few tournaments where you can get a bit of you can beat the bookies easier than in the other tournaments because the European bookmakers don't normally book price up first on this. So it's a good tournament to make money on, in my opinion. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Certainly, as I said, not well publicized at all. I actually started the Good for the Game forum thread, and there's a link, by the way, to that down below the program here. And I didn't even put Currie Cup. And then I happened to see a WhatsApp from the man himself, the conductor. And he said, Currie Cup this weekend, boys. And I said, geez, I didn't even know. So welcome to the conductor, mate. Great to have you back on the show. You're looking a little bit more bearded than the last time I saw you. I think you were still staying in the girlfriend's flat last time I saw you.
Yeah, Brent. No, like I said, I'm trying to make my return back to Loftus, so need to grow the right look for it. But thanks, Brenty. Always good to join you boys on the show, and happy New Year to yourself and Henrik and to everyone else. And hoping for a very good punting year. It was a nice break over December. There was still quite a bit of rugby, European rugby, to keep me occupied. But it was nice to come back nice and refreshed. And like Henrik says, Currie Cup is an absolute gold mine if you can just catch it correctly. I think there's really good opportunities available for us. So let's hopefully we can find some good bets this weekend and kick off the year on the right note.
Excellent. Well, we can get straight into the betting now. Just welcome to the boys who've already joined us in the live chat. Of course, good to have you on board. And then just looking at your beard made me realize from next weekend, we've got a sponsor for the show for a while. Certainly, we've got a 4-week sponsorship. And it's not a bookmaker. That's all I'm going to tell you. And it it looks like something the conductor could very well use. But we'll chat about that this week. So keep a close eye on that. And we could have some fun with this particular sponsor, I can tell you. Let's get into the Currie Cup first, guys. As I said, I didn't even know it was taking place. Great that it is. And from what I can tell on the various forums and Twitter, there's been quite a bit of betting movement. And conductor, I'm going to start with you here. I've just taken this, and I'm going to just double check because I was a bit raced to prepare for the show tonight. I've got +5.5 the Pumas up against the Bulls. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's been quite a lot of money here for the Bulls.
Yeah, Brent. So I think the price opened up at +3.5, and I think it's for the Bulls +3.5. And then I think as soon as the team news was released, I think everyone absolutely smashed the Bulls price. So it's come down, to minus 5.5 for the Bulls. There was a lot of murmuring that obviously the main sides, the Bulls, Lions, Stormers, and Sharks would split their sides. Obviously, they play two parallel competitions, which is the United Rugby Championship and the Currie Cup. So there was a bit of thought that you'd have two different squads. But I was reading the Jimmy Stonehouse's comments during the week, and he thought that the Bulls would use this as an opportunity to warm up their players for the URC. And that's pretty much what they've done. They've selected a very strong squad. A lot of their main players are there. Absolutely big scrum for the Bulls. And on the opposite side, Jimmy Stonehouse has lost 10 players since last season. So that's a big loss for a team like the Pumas. It can't you don't really have the money and the resources to really replenish as quickly. I've looked at these sides. I'll still take Bulls -5.5. I did manage to get Bulls 8 to 10 on the board, but I'll still be happy there on the minus. It's a really good Bulls side, good bench. And I believe Jake White said, look, they are taking the Currie Cup quite seriously. I saw they brought in Gad Small, the ex-Islands forwards coach, ex-West Province chap, as head coach of the Currie Cup side for the Bulls. I reckon he's a good appointment. I just think they're building a really strong side there at Pretoria. So it's always, it is tough playing in Nelspruit. It's never an easy trip. But I think the Bulls, if they're on form, should cover that cap. I would be interested to see what the points lines come out at. The Pumas defense does tend to leak quite a bit. I won't be taking overall points because I just know the Pumas do struggle sometimes to score. And, that backline of theirs doesn't really fill me with fear. So I'd probably look at Bulls overs. It's difficult to know what kind of line we would get. I know towards the end of the comp, I think last year, we were getting crazy lines. We were getting like 77, 78.5 for some of the games in Joburg. So we might just get a line of about 57, 58. So then you're probably looking at a Bulls line of about 40-ish, 39, 38, 30, 40-ish. So, but if it can come as a reasonable line, I'd like to take Bulls overs there as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, quite frankly, what time the bookies actually price up on this line. Because I think first Currie Cup of the season, the bookies are nipping themselves. And Henrik, just to come in with you there, I know, the last Currie Cup really ended up high scoring, but I think it was the previous Currie Cup. Sometime during lockdown, there was a Currie Cup that actually turned out, it was around about October, November they were playing. And I lost a lot of money. There was actually quite a low scoring Currie Cup. What are you expecting this time around?
Yeah, Brent, well, we can start. I'll give my opinion on the game, on the winner or the handicap and that something later. So I'll start off with the points. I'm different than Brendan on this one. I'm lining up an unders here. I see this rain expected in Nelspruit, and Jadis Weni is the ref. His game on lots of times unders. And especially with the Currie Cup being played this time of year, up north with you guys, you get rain at this time of year, so the fields are lots of times is a bit heavy. So I wouldn't mind a high total points quote here. I wouldn't put anybody off taking the overs on the Bulls. And I'll probably look at total points rather here, and I'll fancy the unders. And if I can get anything over 60, I'll take the unders here. Early in the tournament, probably not as big a bet. I'll be a bit wary, but I'm happy to take unders on this one. I checked the weather, and I see there might be a bit of rain in Nelspruit. So I'm happy to take the unders, and then I'm going to go with Brendan on this one, on the Bulls to win the game or on the handicap. I smashed into the Bulls 9 to 10 this afternoon at Super Bets. I'm not able to bet at the two bookmakers that came out early. I saw those handicaps.
But
I can't bet with either of those. Luckily, then I saw Super Bets had it as a choice game, so I smashed the Bulls 9 to 10. I like it a lot. I wish they had some alternative handicaps, because I would have taken a bigger minus on the Bulls. And I liked, yesterday I read the same article that Brendan read about what Jimmy Sana said. He expected the Bulls to play the USC team as an warm-up game for next week's game, I think against the Stormers. I like the minus a lot there, and I expected this game, even if the Bulls and the Pumas picked Currie Cup teams, I expected the line to be about 6.5, Bulls being favourites. So I was quite surprised to see the Pumas as favourites with the amount of players they've lost as well. So I'm very confident in the Bulls to win this one, and take the bigger minus as well. The Bulls will win this by double figures.
Well, it sounds like Henrik's heavily involved there on the 9 to 10. The Bulls, I think next week this time, Henrik will be saying there's 3 bookmakers I can no longer bet with off the club super bets there. But also the Undertakers, of course he's going on unders, even though I do know he plays Currie Cup sometimes as well. So I'm probably sitting a little bit on the fence with that one. Let's move into the next game, Hendrik, and we'll give you first crack at it. I'm using Sunbet's prices tonight, but obviously at punters, guys, we've got to shop around, get the best prices, get the best deals. Cheetahs minus 7.5 against Griquas, Hendrik.
Yeah, Brent, this minus is too low. Griquas, they've got a very inexperienced team, lots of players making their debut. And Cheetahs, they've picked a really good team, a really experienced team as well. Ruan Pino starting, Frans Steyn starting, Clayton Lomikis, the forwards looking good as well. They've got Robert Ibis on the bench, and if he's on the bench, you know you've got a solid back line. I think that the Cheetahs are going to smash this as well. But this handicap is at least 7 points too light. So I like the minus a lot here. There's also a bit of rain expected in Bloem for this one. So that is a bit of a concern being on the minus. But yeah, I think the Cheetahs, they will dominate this game and win it easily. So yeah, I'm not sure about the points with the paper being the ref as well, and rain expected. So that makes the points a bit tricky. I think keep it easy. Take the minus here. This minus is going to move, in my opinion. It's going to move about 5 points. I expect the Cheetahs to start 12.5 points favourites by kickoff.
Well, normally when Hendrik talks like that, it actually moves before the show. So I'm watching the betting on the sites at the moment. In fact, I'm going to ask all punters watching, please don't get on the minus 7.5 until the newsletters come out tomorrow. Because, of course, tomorrow is going to be our first newsletter of the year as well. You want to see how we did last year? We don't claim to be a tipping site by any means. It's more about the enjoyment of punting and sharing thoughts in our battle to beat the bookmakers. But we had a pretty good year, and you can get the results there on the Good for the Game homepage, how we did last year. First newsletter of the year tomorrow. Go down below and sign up and join us in the battle against the books. Right, Brendan? Are we with Hendrik here on the minus?
Brent, I'll be too honest. I've been toing and froing on this price. I saw that you could actually get Griquas plus 9.5 earlier, and I actually quite liked it. I haven't taken anything on this game as yet. It is tricky. I saw they played last week, and I think Cheetahs won by about 12 points, but you can never really, take anything away from it pre-season warm-up. I'm not too enthused with regards to this Cheetahs side. I think Ruan Pino, as great as he was, he is getting a bit long in the tooth. I don't rate Chris Smith as a fly-off, and I also don't rate Clayton Lomikis, who should have played for the Boks in his mind by any means. But I do think, there are a couple of decent players in Cheetah's side. I really rate a guy like Gideon van der Merwe. He's a great flanker. I agree with Henrik. I think their pack is a lot better, got a far better front row than the Griquas. The only thing, there is a lot of rain expected in Bloemfontein. I think there's about 4 or 5 mils before kickoff. I think kickoff is at 3 o'clock, and at 2 o'clock it should be about 4 or 5 mils. So the field could be extremely wet. And the only thing that I'd fear about taking the minus, I think it is a good bet, but is Neil Otto and Ron Steenkamp for the Griquas. They are absolute demons over the ball and can really frustrate you and slow it down. I'd love to see the points line. Yeah, I'm hoping for something ridiculous like 65. Then I'll take a nice unders. I think, as much as the Cheetahs have named a good side, I think I'm not, like I said, I don't really rate Chris Smith much. And I think the Griquas will really be missing George Whitehead. He was an absolute sniper off the tee, and I see he's not there anymore. And as Hendrik says, they are obviously blooding a lot of new guys at the Griquas. And post Scott Matthew, who was their coach, I really thought he was a fantastic coach for the Griquas. And he's now in the US, I think, coaching the Sabercats or the Thunderballs or whatever they call them. But he's no longer there, and I think the Albert van den Berg, who the forwards coach, has also left. So, coaching restructuring at the Griquas. I'd probably be pushed. I'd probably look at Cheetahs minus 7.5 based on no George Whitehead. But like I said, if there's a crazy points line of 65 or something, which I doubt, because I think the bookies will obviously see the rain, I'd like to take unders. Like I said, I think Neil Otto and Steenkamp will slow it massively down at the breakdown.
It could be the sort of game as well where Free State Cheetahs maybe take a little while to get on top of Griquas before pulling away in the second half. We'll look for some betting opportunities there. I was all over the minus 7.5, and then conductor just poured a little bit of cold water on that, so perhaps a little bit of caution there. Let's move on to the next game, conductor, and I'm gonna go with you on this one. Western Province up against the Lions. This game, the bookies are priced up very tight. We've got Western Province here, -1.5 against the Lions. First of all, conductors, has there been any betting movement on this one, or has it been pretty stable?
Brent, I see the price on Western Province has shortened a little bit. I think it was at about 9 to 10. I think it's come to about 75 to 100 or 8 to 10 now, I think is the price, or 85 to 100 is the price. Look, obviously the books there's been no real movement because the Lions haven't released their side yet. Western Province has released their side, and it's not a bad side. They've got some really, really good players there. Dion Ferry on the bench. I like Cornell Smith at centre. I think Tim Sweel at fly half. So there's a couple of good senior players there. Aba at I think 6, he's captaining the side. Achieva Diamani at 8-man, and I mean it's pretty much without Kitsoff and Malhad, but it's pretty much his strongest front row, obviously, on the starting and on the bench. So I've taken a big chunk at 9 to 10 on Western Province. I see Lions have come out and said definitely they are going to split their side. They're not going to have the two sides mingling between the Currie Cup and the URC. During what I managed to glean off Instagram is that in the Lions side, you'll have guys like that. Club at Klanye is a really, really big prop for the Lions. MJ Pelser. I'm trying to think who else. There's one, Emmanuel Chuchuka, he's there. There's one or two decent guys, but I expect James Tedder. I think it's the University of Cape Town. The
fly half, eh?
Yeah, for the fly half, he's playing for Lions, so he's quite good. But I expect the balance to be filled with under 20s and fringe players. So, like I said, I've taken a big strike at 9 to 10. I think the big positive is that it's the West Province is coached by somebody else and not John Dobson. He's luckily coaching the URC team. So, I think Kabamba Fleurs is their forwards coach, and I think they've got another coach there. And they're looking to reinvigorate the Western Province. They are a very good Currie Cup side. So, I'm big on Western Province here. I think kicking the game off, in the home city against a potentially weakened Lions side. There's a good couple of Stellenbosch boykies there at I think number 5. Some youngsters, but I think Western Province will get the job done here quite easily.
Right. Well, Steve Reed coming in on Facebook. Steve, good to hear from you again. Western Province easy. Fill your boots, lads. I'm expecting that price to come down quite a bit. As you say, I see under 8 to 10, for example, at Sunbet, 17 to 20 there at World Sports Betting. And let's quickly have a look. I'll just pop on to player bets. Actually, just find the jolly game. And what have they got there? Outright Western Province, just over 8, just sort of 5 to 6 there. So, I think that Western Province, by the sounds of it there, might start quite a bit shorter than that. Well, especially if Henrik rubber stamps you. What are you going to say, Henrik?
Brent, I hope the money is coming for Western Province here, because I'm complete opposite here. I don't like Western Province. I don't like the team they've picked. I've never been a fan of Jerome Parwater as a coach. And in my opinion, Kabamba has to prove himself. If every time you see Chad Solomon starting in a team, you have to oppose him. In my opinion, the Lions played quite well before the break. I don't like this Western Province team, and I'm not sure what the Lions team is going to look like. But I'm happy to oppose this Province team. I'm strong on the Bulls, on the Lions here actually. So it's a bit. I feel a bit uncomfortable with the guys liking Western Province here, but I'm strong on the Lions on this one.
This actually might be the night where I launch my new business as a betting exchange, and I just sort of go, right, Brendan, Henrik, I'll just take a 5% commission and let's line you boys up against each other. I enjoy this one from Steve Reed. He said, someone take Henrik's temperature. Very good,
I know,
Steve. Very good.
I know Steve is a big Lions supporter. He's always been a big, his name.
Yeah.
His
almost
name
Oracle like in his Lions support.
Yeah, so he's a Lions supporter. So I don't know. I like the Lions. Yeah, I like them strongly. Yeah.
Excellent. Right, we're going to move on now to the Champions Cup. I couldn't believe how many games there actually are taking place in the Heineken Champions Cup, but we'll go through So, guys, I know, Henrik, for example, you've looked at one or two of the games, not all of them, so no problem. Yourself, even conduct, if you haven't had a chance to look and you don't have a firm opinion, don't worry about that. There are so many games this weekend, and we can't expect you to pick a winner on each and every one. But let's get into the games, and I'm going to start with you, conductor. We've got Cardiff Blues. This is now on Friday, I think, and I'm quickly going to get a points line as well. I didn't have time to put it in. Cardiff Blues against Harlequins, plus 7.5. That's at Sunbet, and I see at Player Bets, points are out, 50.5.
Yeah, Brent. The Cardiff Blues have had a really rough time of it of late. I think they came out to South Africa. They got caught up with quarantine issues here in SA. Obviously, when the UK government pulled the plug in terms of returning to South Africa, had a couple of guys. It was a very tumultuous time for them. So they ended up playing, I think, 2 of the Heineken Cup games with really journeymen and guys that could scrounge off the streets and guys phone their brothers who last played 4 years ago, exactly put on the boots and come down. And so I think they played Toulouse, and I think they had I can't remember who their second opposition was. So they've had a tough time of it. They were quite poor. They were quite poor on Friday or Saturday nights. I think they played Cardiff. So I'm just trying to think exactly. Sorry.
Why do you think of that? Why do you think of that? Are they basically out of this competition now? I mean, are they? Is this competition just something they want to? Is this something they just want to get out of the way? Almost?
Look, I mean, they've selected a strong side, eh? So I mean, they've brought back, I think, 6 Welsh internationals into the side. So I mean, they've got they're back. They're 14, 15, and 11 are all Welsh internationals. Hallam Amos, Owen Lane, Josh Adams. But like I said, they had a horrible game. I think it was against Edinburgh. Or
it was Edinburgh. Alex
they had a really bad, horrible game. But I think seeing those 6 guys back, I think it's going to make a bit of a difference. I see some of the guys are piling into the -6.5 for the Harlequins. Harlequins have had a tough time of late. So they've had some really, really tough games in the Gallagher Premiership. I probably won't be looking at the handicap, but I love that overs 50.5. Harlequins has scored the most points of any team in the URC. In the Champions Cup. Sorry, in the Champions Cup. So they've scored the most points out of any team. So they are a high-scoring team. They do like to swing the ball. Very, very strong Harlequin side. But like I think Henrik said, under Esterhuizen, he's been phenomenal for them. But still a very good side. And I like Jared Evans at 10. I think the scrum off is also very, very decent. And for the Welsh internationals there, a bit weak on the bench. I think they had lost 2 hookers this previous Saturday. So the replacement on the bench, I think he's not really a proper player. He's a bit of a fill-in. So I expect it to be points, even though it is a bit of a 8 o'clock kickoff their time at tomorrow nights, Friday night lights. I do like the points there. I just think Harlequins will play loose, and like you say, Cardiff Blues have got nothing to really lose. So, the guy like Josh Adams, I'll definitely give it some wheelie. And Harlequins' defense does tend to go a bit absent at times. And under Esterhuizen, he gets so many turnovers for Quins. It's flipping ridiculous for a centre. I mean, he's so good at over the ball. Him not being there, I think it's going to be nice and loose.
Nice loose game there. Now, the question is whether you have managed to convince the unders takers to take the overs bet here. Henrik, he convinced me, I must tell you. I'm all over the overs there.
Yeah, Brent, it certainly sounds like a good bet. And in my opinion, the English teams, they actually score quite a few points. They're normally good for overs points. So, yeah, that sounds good. I'm very poor at the most of the Northern Hemisphere competitions, especially the English, the Premiership. And with the Heineken Cup, I don't follow the teams closely enough, so I'm not going to have strong opinions here. But that overs, Brendan sold it to me as well, so I like that. And then I think the plus might be a go here, just because I saw a bit of the rugby, and under Esterhuizen has been amazing for Harlequins, and with him not playing that has me interested in the plus here. But like I said, if I bet on this, it's very small, and I'm not one to follow really on this one. So I won't have strong opinions on these games.
No problem. Well, I'll just run. I'll still give you an option on each game. Cust against Munster. You got any opinion on that one? Plus
Yeah,
8.5.
I like opposing Munster, like you know, probably, and I don't like Johan van Graan as a coach. I've never been a fan, so I will always go against teams that Johan van Graan coaches. And with him already having signed, I think for Bath, I think he's going there. And so I'm not sure how much his mind is still at Munster. Away game, I have no idea how cost is going, but yeah, just on that, I'll go for the plus on this one.
Right, opposing your coach. I know Henrik, he opposes coaches, and when it comes to overs and unders, he's got firm opinions on referees. But let's see what the conductor says on this one. First of all, conductor, what beer are you on? Have you started your second yet? You're on to your third?
I don't really like to keep track of numbers, Brent. It sounds bad when you round it off, eh? No, yeah. So Brent, I must be honest, I was lining up a Castra bet here. I was going to be lining up a huge plus. To me, Munster have been incredibly underwhelming last couple of games. They haven't been great. They had a shocker against Connacht in Galway. I think where they lost about 2 points. They should have closed that game out. I think it was one of the lowest passing rates out of any team in the URC. It was shocking to watch. They butchered opportunities. Yeah, there's been very, very big backlash to Johan van Graan's comments last week, pre-match against Ulster. But when Murray Kinsella, the journalist, was interviewing him, his comments weren't great. So I think there's a lot of displeasure with him at the moment. And like Henrik says, he is on his way out, but he's sort of saying, look, he's focusing on the game and at Munster, and that's all. Yeah, it's all he's focusing on. Yeah, look. So Munster haven't been great of late. They were actually being cleaned up by Ulster. Funnily enough, until they got the red card, then suddenly Munster came to the party and steeled themselves. I think it was very fortunate for them that Peter Mahoney got injured before the game and Tad Burns started because he had an absolute stormer. Peter Mahoney is back for this game. They have named quite a strong side, Munster. Yeah, good centre partnership with Farrell. The only weak link for me is Frowley, the 10. I don't really know him too much. Obviously, Joey Carberry being injured for Munster is a bit of a big loss. But on the other side of things, Castra have turned over. They 12 changes from their last game. So yeah, they're normally so good at the home ground. I just can't remember what it's called, but they've made me heaps of money. Their home record in top 14 is absolutely ridiculous. They can knock off really big sides quite easily. Apparently, the French connections have said, look, it's an okay starting side, but a very weak bench. I'd probably look at a plus 9.5 just purely because Munster have not been playing great rugby at the moment. They've also won their first 2 games, and I see Johan van Graan has made it very clear that they only need to win 3 out of 4 to progress. And their next game next weekend is against Wasps in Limerick. So, that they should win quite easily. So I just wonder how much motivation they'll take going to France with all the cloud around the traveling and the PCR tests, etc. With COVID, it's not an easy journey these days. If Castra have a good crowd in and they get quite vociferous, it could make it quite unpleasant. Even though it's not a full strength side, I think the crowd could make it tougher for Munster. And I think they'll be backing Castra to at least pull something out the hat, though, even though it's a bit of a second side.
Yeah, it's really going to depend probably what Castra's mindset is for this game. I think they're a team that's actually lost money on a bit in the past, opposing them when they've been at home as underdogs, and they've just managed to hang in there to either win the game or potentially beat the handicap. Just to mention, total points is a 46.5 in this game, and let's go up to the unders taker and see what he fancies. I haven't asked you about this game yet, Henrik. Sorry, I'm getting confused.
Yeah. Brent, I said.
Oh, you did. You opposed it for Johan van Graan. Sorry, you were opposing Johan. Sorry. I wanted to go back to you though, just for the points quickly, because I know you're the points man. 46.5. Anything stand out for you there?
Sure, Brent. In this competition, I'm not gonna have a strong opinion in this one. Probably unders on Munster points. That could be my play here.
find a way to oppose. Right, Brendan, let's stick with you here. Wasps plus 7.5. And someone else typed this out for me this evening. Is that started Toulon? Is that Toulon? Toulon that they're playing?
Toulon, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brent, I had a big strike on minus 8.5 on Stade Toulon. Stade Toulouse. No, I had a big strike on minus 8.5 on Toulouse. I've unfortunately had to work my way out of that bet quite quickly. The news coming out of the Toulouse camp is there's no Dupont, no Marchand, the hooker, no Charlie from Moina, no Roy Arnold. And apparently there's another 2 or 3 players in the Toulouse squad that have COVID. So they're not going to take over a full side. I looked at the stats. When Toulouse have Dupont and when they don't have Dupont, is actually like night and day. I think they win like 95% of their matches when they have Dupont. And I think when they don't have Dupont, I think they only win like 50 to 60% of their matches. So he's a massive play for them. He's just so ridiculously good off the breaks and carrying the ball. Yeah, plus 7.5. I still wouldn't take the plus here. Wasps do get back Umanga and Paulo Adogu, but are still going to be missing several players who due to injury. The big thing for them is that they badly stuffed at loose head. Robin Hislop picked up an injury, I think, during the game against Tigers, and their scrum is incredibly weak. I think if Toulouse bring a decent scrum, they're going to get absolutely smashed off the park. I think they've got reserves playing loose head for Wasps against Toulouse, and I think I hate to think who's on the bench for them at loose head cover. I think they've only got 4-foot props in the squad, but yeah, it's just a pity about Dupont. I'll probably be staying out of this game. There's just too many uncertainties for me at this moment. I think guys like Fafita might be back for Wasps, etc. But with Toulouse losing Dupont, it makes no bet for me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It sounds a bit of a tricky one there. Henrik, yeah. Any opinion on this game? It looks a bit of a dangerous one.
Yeah, Brent. Brendan's knowledge on these Northern Hemisphere teams makes me feel way out of my depth. So yeah, but it's great hearing his thoughts and yeah. On this one, I haven't got an opinion on either of these two teams, but I'm always wary of traveling French teams. They just go missing sometimes. So just a small play maybe on the Wasps on the plus here, but no strong opinion in this one.
Just looking the games off probably at the same time as one of the Currie Cup games. I'm sure we'll be able to focus on the Currie Cup there. Before I go back to Brendan, Henrik, anything on Connacht against Leicester Tigers?
Yeah, Brent, Leicester, they've been in great form. Last week, I think they lost for the first time in quite a while, but they are a quality side. They're away to Connacht at the sports ground, and I'm a bit of a Connacht fan. I've always been a fan of Andy Friend since his days at the Brumbies. And like you know, I like following coaches. This is close to a choice game. And it's tough going against Leicester, but a home game with Connacht at the moment playing good rugby, being underdogs. I think a small play on the plus here on Connacht plus 1.5.
Right, Brendan.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Henrik de Brent. Yeah, I would have liked this line to have been more towards 5.5, 6.5. That would have been a great little get. I think this line is a result of what happened in Coventry against Wasps by Leicester Tigers. Obviously, there's no team news at the moment, but I expect Jasper Wiese to be back for Tigers. I think Marco van Staden and Eskom, he might be back, and I think Hunter and Liebenberg might be back as well. They were just missing their South African loose trio combo. I mean, they're deadly. Also missing Nandolo as well. I'm not sure if he's back as well this weekend. He might be. So there's a lot of unknowns to be factored in here. I was incredibly impressed with Connacht's performance away to Leicester. I thought Leicester were quite fought. I think they went down they went into halftime, I think 6, 7, 8 points down to Connacht. Connacht are playing incredible rugby. The only pity about this game is Mac Hansen for Connacht is not there. He's been absolutely electric for them. But other than that, Connacht's got a very, very short injury list, so should have most of their guys available. I've been reading quite a bit on Connacht's players and coach. They're very, very confident that they can win this game against Leicester. I feel that Leicester have been so good for so long. They just maybe having not a stumble, but are just going to take a bit of a breath here. I like Connacht in the plus. I just think that Leicester, as good as they are, might just need to rest some of their players for this game and focus on Bordeaux Begler next weekend at home at Walford Road to get that 3 out of 4 wins. Sports Crown is very intimidating. Normally they do get a very good crowd in there, and that crowd makes such a difference. It feels like you can almost hear. You can't really hear the players or the ref. That's very, very loud. So I quite like Connacht there. As Henrik says, they've had a good season so far. They seem to be stringing together good performances. So yeah, the plus for me is all the way to go.
Yeah, Mark likes them on the board there. He says watch the weather as well. Of course, the weather there in Galway can be quite terrible. Ospreys conductor against Racing, and we got Ospreys here, the home team, plus 13.5.
Yeah, Brent, Ospreys, yeah, they were very poor again last weekend, I think, to Glasgow. Glasgow absolutely ripped them to shreds. Sione Tupolotu for Glasgow was absolutely ripping through them. I haven't seen too many players getting back for Ospreys this weekend. As far as I know, their team against Glasgow was pretty much their full team, and they got a bit of a lesson. I see a big news for Racing 92 is that Trevor Inyankani is making his debut. He should be making his debut for Racing 92. For me, he's so phenomenal as a scrummager. I think they'll bring some much-needed beef to that side. It depends what sort of side Racing are going to bring out here, but to me, this is a bit too low for a class side where you've got guys like Finn Russell, Vakatawa, Jean Imhoff, Kurtley Beale, Teddy Thomas. I mean, we all saw what they did to a far better Northampton Saints side. I just haven't seen the weather in Swansea as yet. If it's clear, I'd happily jump on the minus here.
Excellent. I just put you on solo layout there for a while because I received a WhatsApp from one of our female viewers saying, "Can she have a closer look at your beard?" And that's why I just put you on the solo. I'm also practicing for next week when we talk about some of the products, but I'm just hoping we only get to see your face on the show next week. I can tell you, Henrik. Anything on this one for you, or is it a case of just following the conductor?
Yeah, no, just following the conductor. I've no opinion on this one, Brent.
And Exeter Chiefs, Glasgow Warriors.
Yeah, this one, Glasgow, they've been playing quite well, and I know this is a away game for them, and Exeter, they're a quality side, but Exeter, in my opinion, the last while they have been the same power side that they've always been. I'm a bit surprised that the handicap is as big as it is, so I like Glasgow on the plus a bit, yeah.
Right, Brendan, straight over back to you. Busy just experimenting with a few of the lads. I haven't done that for a while, and I just like the look of your guys' faces. What can I tell you? Brendan, Exeter Chiefs minus 12.5. They let me down. Yeah. I mean, I know you were on them, I think, on the board last week. Was it against Harlequins?
Yeah, that was sick.
That red card. I mean, to be fair, Harlequins deserved the win overall. You can't argue with that. But at the end there, I thought they were going to snatch the victory, eh?
Yeah, I thought they were going to Quade Cooper that victory and steal it. So it was almost a smash and grab. But it was unlucky. That when that red card came on, I thought that the bet was dust, and somehow it managed to survive to about the 76th minute, and then some very classy play and just managed to hold out there. This is a strange one, hey, because I mean, really, Glasgow pumped Exeter in Glasgow, the previous Champions Cup game. I do really rate this Exeter side, but this seems a little bit big. I do see that Exeter are getting back Luke Cowan-Dickie and Tom O'Flaherty, which is big for them. But I think Johnny Gray is an injury doubt, and I think they've got one or two other injury doubts as well. But it should be a top Exeter side. I just think that Glasgow are missing Jack Dempsey this previous weekend. But I've been, I think what Henrik says, I've been impressed with his Glasgow side. They've been playing really, really great rugby. For me, Exeter don't often smash teams at home. I won't be getting too involved in this game. I'd probably look at it as a bigger, best Glasgow plus, but nothing massive for me. Like I said, I just, Glasgow have been good of late, but I just can't put my full faith in them at Sandy Park. It's, if the crowd gets behind them, that big pack starts rolling, especially Luke Cowan, Dickey, and Sam Simmons, they can make you look a bit silly. So it's a very tough one. I would have loved to back the Glasgow minus, but this minus is a touch too big. It's about 4 or 5 points too big for me to back with confidence. So I'd probably look at another bet here. I'd probably look at where the conditions might be a bit rainy, might be a bit wet in Devon. I don't know. I want to see this Glasgow side. They've been interrupted quite hectically with COVID and stuff. I think that's why Jack Dempsey wasn't there last week. So I don't know. It's a no bet for me really on this game.
Boys, in the live chat, we got quite a bit of unity there. We got Mark, Steve, and Winslow all going Glasgow on the plus. Let's move on to the next game and stay with you, conductor. La Rochelle minus 31.5 against Bath.
Brent, it's another one that's tricky. I saw that Bath were actually threatening not to play this game because of the strict conditions in France, where you had to have a PCR test 48 hours, or you had to quarantine 48 hours before, and then before you leave, you have to have a PCR test, and if you test positive, you have to stay in France for 10 days. So I see Bath is threatening to boycott this game, but obviously the French have relaxed their conditions of travel. So it looks like Bath will be traveling. This handicap looks very big. I know Bath are awful, but it's really, really big. What I'd like to look at in play when the markets come out, I'd like to look at the Bath points over. You'll probably get maybe 0.9, 9.5, I think, hopefully. And I'd like to look at over 9.5 there. That might be a bit juicy. But it's no bet for me.
There was a similar bet early in the tournament. Was it perhaps against Leinster or something like that?
Against Leinster.
And I think I saw, and I saw, I think the line in some places there, eventually I got 7.5.
Yeah,
and I know they got a couple of early 9.5.
Yes. Yeah, and went to 7.5. That's right.
And they arrived comfortably then. I know Alex at UK Rugby Bets, who comes on the show quite often. Unfortunately, when the show's on early in the UK time, with the time changes, he does battle a bit. But I saw him saying on Twitter he's waiting for a Bath points line as well. So similar strategy to you on that one. Henrik, from your side, you got anything more there, conductor?
Yeah, I mean, Brent, look, La Rochelle are a good side, but they just don't have that defense they used to have. And I think typical in this game, it's La Rochelle know that Bath aren't a great side. I just don't know how much efforts are going to go in here. So I'd really fancy Bath to get some points. They're not a great side, but I think they will snag a couple of points, especially if La Rochelle let their guard down. So I think the overs there might be golden.
And have Bath named their team or anything? Because what you're telling me about the COVID. I mean, is there a chance that a team like Bath for this game say, look, we're not sending any of our big boys over because in case they end up having to stay over, or is that totally relaxed now? Is that not a factor for them?
Yeah, apparently it's totally relaxed. So there's no chance of having to remain in France, etc. I think that was one of the big conditions, that even if you test positive, you're allowed to come home or something like that. Because that was one of the massive conditions that Bath said, look, the only way, because I mean, obviously they don't want to end up with another situation like they did in South Africa, where the guys have to be remanded in hotels. Yeah. So yeah, that's not a chance. But yeah, we'll get onto the Sale game. And there's a chance of something happening in the Sale game, but we'll discuss that later. But in this instance, I don't think so.
Excellent. We'll just quickly check in with Henrik if he's got any opinion on this one.
No, Brent, that overs on Bath certainly sounds good, and there's good logic behind it from Brendan. And if you like the overs on that one, that minus 31.5 certainly sounds very big. If you fancy Bath to get a few points, and every time a handicap goes over 4 converted tries, for me it gets dangerous. That's very big handicap, especially in such a big competition as this. Even though Bath is a bit of a poor team, I think that handicap is very big. So yeah, a plus for me here, and I'll definitely be looking at that points line that Brendan has highlighted there.
Bristol Bears, Henrik, will stay with you to see if you've got an opinion on this one. Minus 19.5 against Stade Francais. I think Stade Francais are a team that cost me when they played at home. I opposed them and they played quite well at home. But I'm imagining French team on the road here. They should be right for the taking.
Yeah, Brent, I'm not big. I haven't got big knowledge on either of these two teams, but I've never been a big Bristol Bears fan. I know last 2 or 3 years, these guys that really like the way they play and the players they have. I've never been a fan, and I've liked to oppose them. So yeah, just on that, I'll go with a plus here, but no confidence on this one.
Right, let's go over to conductor for his opinion on that one. Bristol Bears.
Yeah, Brent, so I'll wait for the Bears team and Bears team until I won't really worry too much about the Stade Francais team, but I'll wait for the Bears team to be released before I take this bet. But I very much like the minus. Stade Francais are just sitting above relegation zone in the top 14. Their focus won't be on this competition at all, even though I think they got back a couple of guys this past weekend via Yanu. Sorry, it's 2 or 3 really decent players aside Francais came back. They especially in their back line. They can perform, but like we saw in Connacht, they put up a good, when they played in Galway, they put up a good sort of 20, 30, 40 minutes and then seemed to fade quite badly. It's minus is a little bit big for me. I think you can get minus 16.5 if you shop around, which is something I'd probably look at. This Bristol Bears side had a really, really good gutsy win this past weekend against. Sorry, I just also skipped my mind. Sorry, it's been a bit of a long day, but they had a really, really good gutsy win at home. And actually beat them quite convincingly. So I see Harry Thacker might be back for the Bears, as well as Stephen Luatua, as well as Charles Pietau. I think there might be one more player as well that's back for them as well. There's about 4 players that might be back in contention for them. So to me, Bears just want to have that really good win for the guys that have been there, for the faithful. I just think Stade Francais, it's just they want to get this game out the way. So I'll be looking for the best minus I can get you, and lump on it. So I just the way they capitulated away at Connacht just says to me they're not really in this comp.
Right, we'll stay with you then for Leinster up against Montpellier. Now, Leinster are a team well capable of putting sides away at home. They perhaps haven't been as consistent the last couple of seasons, but the way this has been priced up, the bookies are not expecting the French team to take a lot of interest.
Yeah, Brent, it's another tough one. I won't be putting much money on this until maybe I see some team sheets. Apparently, there was a lot of COVID in Montpellier. I think hence they had to cancel 1 or 2 games, I think, in the top 14. There's also COVID in Leinster, apparently, as well. There's a couple of cases as well. So I just don't know. I just not going to get too involved. I don't like Leinster, big Leinster caps. They've burnt me so many times, man. With huge caps. You expect them, when they release basically an all-Irish side, you would think they would just smoke sides, especially if Montpellier send a subpar side, but this cap is too big for me, so I'd probably stay out of it completely.
Michael Barron just coming in and he's pointing out that team you couldn't think of that the Bears beat. I actually should have thought of it as well because I watched that game as well. I couldn't get it. It was Sale on that one. I think there was quite a bit of money for the Bears from some of the boys on the forum there as well. Henrik, anything on this for you? I know you're not a Leinster minus fan, but is this a game you'd rather leave alone?
Brent, Leinster, for me, they a lot like Exeter. I used to follow them and back them, say, 2 years ago, and they were amazing, Exeter and Leinster. And just the last 6 months or 8 months or so, Leinster, they haven't quite been the team they used to, in my opinion. So, yeah, I don't feel comfortable backing them on big minuses. I used to like the way Montpellier played, but I'm not clued up on them at the moment. So yeah, just because I don't like the big minus, I'll probably lean towards the plus here. But if I have to bet, I'll probably have a look at some kind of points player, maybe a dangerous bet going unders on Leinster points. But yeah, no confidence on this one either.
Mark just pointing out that Leinster will be baying for blood, need to pick up points. So it's going to be an interesting one. It is a high handicap. I think I'll be dictated to by whether or not we actually get that game on TV, because I would prefer to back a game that I can watch on TV. Henrik, anything on your side then in the next game? Northampton Saints against Ulster. We got Northampton, the slight underdogs at home here against Ulster.
Yeah, this looks interesting. I'm a bit of a fan of Ulster. When Marcel Coetzee still played for them, I liked backing them, and they were good. And now they've got Dwayne Vermeulen, who kind of replaced Marcel Coetzee. I've always been a bit of an Ulster fan, even in the days Ruan Pina played for them. So I like to back them. The Saints, I don't follow them closely, but if I have to be corrected here, but I think they're going quite all right at the moment. And at home, being underdogs, that's probably a tricky game here. Sure, I'm not sure, Brent, maybe a small plan also to win the game, but I'm going to lean on the conductor to help us out here.
Before we go there, just Winslow mentioned he liked Leinster on the minus, and then Steve, he's in cracking form on the show tonight. Montpellier travel worse than unrefrigerated ice cream. Nice one, Steve. Conductor, Northampton Saints.
Yeah, Brent, I must be honest, I was very, very bullish on taking Ulster on the minus here until it was news of John Cooney being out. He, to me, he is so crucial to that Ulster effort. I think Nathan Doak, the reserve scrum off, is also decent, but nothing in the league of Cooney. Missing a guy like Stuart McCloskey, him and James Hume as a centre combination was fantastic for Ulster. That being said, I still think Ulster should get the job done here. Northampton had a very good win away to Newcastle, which is a notoriously difficult place to play. They had an actually incredible win. I just don't know if Courtney Laws will be back for this game. He's a really, really stellar player for Northampton. I see Jan Augustus is also going very well for Northampton. Hopefully he'll start there, or for obviously for science purposes. They have been playing good rugby. They do tend to leak quite a bit of points. I'd like to look at this points line for this game. I find that both teams play very, very positive rugby. I'm hoping for something in and around the 47, 48.5 mark. I'll definitely be jumping on that. But other than that, I'll probably look at pushed. I'll probably look at Ulster minus 2.5 or Ulster on the board at the best price. Also very, very quality outfit, very well coached. Saints can be quite erratic. They have been going great guns in the Gallagher, as Henrik has said, but they can be found out at times, like we saw against Racing. They are a bit susceptible to certain spots in their play. Their defense is often a bit lackadaisical. So I'd probably look at Ulster there, but I'd love to see a nice low points line. I'd love to take overs there.
Right. We'll have to wait to see what the points are there. I think we've just got 2 games left to go. Just a reminder to everyone watching, best bets coming towards the end of the show. Also, you can subscribe to our newsletter down below this video. Union Bordeaux, which I guess is just the Bordeaux Bagels, minus 15.5 against the Scarlets, who've also, I know, had their COVID problems in this tournament.
Yeah, Brent, I was hoping for maybe a single-digit figure here. I would have taken Bordeaux Bagel on the board. On the minus. This minus 15.5 is getting a little bit big for me, especially considering that Bordeaux Bagel are missing Matthew Jalibert, their talismanic fly-off. But nevertheless, they've got a very good side. That's why they're pretty much topping the top 14 at the moment, playing some incredible rugby. Scarlets are an unknown entity. They've had some bad games. They lost very badly to a Munster Seaside, and then somehow managed to beat, I think, the Ospreys a couple of weekends ago. But they've been very interrupted with COVID. I see Ken Owens, their hooker, the Welsh international hooker. He's gone. He's injured. So and I see Liam Williams, their fullback, is also, he's going to be transferred at some other point. He's going to another Welsh club. So I just don't know how good the Scarlet side is, but this Bordeaux handicap is a little bit big for me. get too much involved. I don't have enough information on either team there.
All right, we're going to go to Henrik now to bring us home. Anything for you in the last two games, this Bordeaux game, Henrik, and then the Clermont game just after that?
Yeah, Brent, 15 and a half, it seems a bit big, like Brendan said, but still, I think Bordeaux at home against the Welsh team, you have to go to minus. Yeah, I think the plus might be a bit of a dangerous bet, yeah. So, I think the minus here, and then the next game, Clermont against Sale. Again, Clermont, it's a team I like. I like the way they play. Sale, I haven't followed them quite closely. Well, neither of these teams, but again, a home game for Clermont, single-digit handicap minus for me.
Right, the minus for Henrik there. Now, I know this is a game you hinted early in the show, I think, Brendan, that you had a bit of a fancy on the Sale game. Which way are you going here?
Not so much a fancy, Brent, but obviously with regards to people mentioning travel issues, I see there was a lot of issues with Sale Sharks traveling, especially with the South African contingent, because obviously they need a Schengen visa to travel to France. Apparently that's been pushed through now because there was a bit of issues with that. But nevertheless, Sale Sharks are absolutely rubbish on the road. I mean, if you look at the record, they've been absolutely poor. But if they can take a really good side, I fancy them to cover this plus there. Clermont are not the side they used to be. They are very good with guys like Damien Pinot. He's fantastic. Raka. Some very, very good players in that Clermont side. But like I said, to me, that some of the guys are getting a bit long in the tooth. They're not the Clermont side of old. They used to demolish sides at home. I think Sale Sharks will be very much up for this game. If they can get Tom Currie, John Ross, and Dan Dupree as a loose trio, Jean-Luc, I think JP Dupree might be back from maternity leave. I think his wife gave birth last week, so he might be back. I think they might get a couple of guys back. The only issue that would stop me from going big on this plus is that one of the Sale Sharks players was arrested during the week for certain things. So I don't know how much disruption that's brought to the side, if they're going to focus on that. But I'm sure the French press will obviously be asking them about to try and get under the skin, etc. But nevertheless, I probably would aim for the plus there. Just not a massive fan of this Clermont side to smoke sides.
Well, the boys are a little bit split on that one, but it was a marathon. Marathon show, especially in terms of those Heineken Cup games. I've been thinking about it, guys. I mean, what are we going to do? We got Currie Cup, Six Nations, Super Rugby. I mean, Super Rugby must be starting soon as well.
It's February, yeah.
February, yeah. So I think we have to split the show in two. We're going to do Super Rugby and South Africa at 9 o'clock, and then at 10 o'clock we'll go on to the European games or something. But it's going to be crazy.
And get yourself a good marriage counselor, I guess.
That's it. Actually, when you hit my years of marriage, the more time that you spend away from the wife, the happier with you she is. So I don't think she has a problem. But
well, like my mate said, he's had 4 kids with his wife. So he always says, "What is she going to do? Is she going to leave me? Probably not."
Well, I mean, who knows with the stuff that we're getting in the mail next week, guys? I mean, the woman could be all over us. Eh? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But let's get into the best bets. And conductor, I'll start with you.
Brent, I think my best bets are probably going to be. I very much like the Bulls minus 5.5. I'd like to see that points line. I'll probably take overs there. I'm strong on Western Province. Then that's definitely my best bets. I think those two. I think the bookies will be. I just don't think they read the Currie Cup as well, especially at the gate. So Bulls minus 5.5 and Province on the board.
All right, Henrik, your best bets. I know it's going to be in the Currie Cup.
Yeah, Brent, I like all 3 Currie Cup games quite strong. Of the 3, probably the Cheetahs the least, but I still like it strong. And then the Bulls, I luckily got on the Bulls at 9 to 10. But I still think that the minus is the way to go here. Anything in single digits, you can back the Bulls on the minus. That's my second one. And then unfortunately, I'm going against Brendan, but I like the Lions, and the Lions to win the game is my best bet of the weekend.
Excellent. Well, you can see what we're going to go. Well, I'll have to put all of these bets together in the newsletter. Just personally, I was leaning very strong Cheetahs minus when I had a quick look there. I do also like in the Harlequins game that overs 50 and a half points. So that's another one that would look. But yeah, I'll probably watch back the show. I generally put it on double speed or whatever, seeing that I've heard most of it before, and try and make notes and pick up some bets ahead of the newsletter there. But gents, it's been great seeing you again. And yeah, let's to all of us and to all of the boys in the live chat as well, let's hope for a strong year of punting and some good sport coming up over the next few weeks, including the J&B Met horse racing. We'll probably have a preview for that. But yeah, have a good one. Conductor, thanks, man. Nice to see you, and enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, Brenty. Yeah, thanks, guys, and have a good one. Let's have a good weekend, and let's take care of those debit orders on January 29th.
That's it. And Henrik, great seeing you back again. I mean, the moment I saw, as I said at the start of the show, I didn't even know that there was South African rugby, but the moment I did, I thought, well, let me pop Henrik a mail and see if he's keen to come on and talk Currie Cup. So thanks a lot, and yeah, have a cracking weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Brent. I like being on the show, so thanks for inviting me. I always enjoy it, and I'm always up for chatting rugby. Anybody's always welcome to hit me up on Twitter, and I'll always have a conversation. So yeah, good luck to all the guys, and yeah, hit the bookies hard. Hope the bookies lose hard this weekend.
Excellent. That was the Undertaker and the Conductor. Always a pleasure to have them on the show. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next week for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.